Well, after a couple years of sitting around, getting uglier, I finally got the Cobra dyno tuned. And this is all I've been doing since I got it back. I just want to show you guys what I've done to the car since I got it, where it's at, and what I'm going to do moving forward. Although it sounds like a Terminator, this is actually an 01 Cobra, a little different, and I just threw a Whipple on it. It has some 0304 parts in it to make that swap possible, but it is not a Terminator. It is not an iron block. It's not forged rotating assembly. It actually has a 96, 98 textured block, bottom end, forged crank, but still has the factory rods and pistons. Kind of a Frankenstein build. I'll get into that in more detail later, but I was just trying to see if I can make some power, put a supercharger on it, and not break the bank. So let's get into it. All right, so let me tell you the story of when I got this car, where it was, where it is now. I'll go over the mods, and then I'll talk about the dyno, and then we'll get into what I'm thinking about doing moving forward. When you get into the car hobby and you got the car bug, they sit around for a while, they get neglected, and unfortunately Mustangs in general, they have a reputation for just getting hacked up and butchered, and this Cobra was kind of in that scenario. I bought it as a roller in San Diego, I think for about $1,000. The owner was like, man, I could sell the Ambers for that price, but we ended up working it out. It didn't have a motor in it. It had all the interior. It had the TR3650 transmission, had a drive shaft, had the IRS. The front bumper was in the usual shape as the 9901 Cobras. The tabs were broken off. It had a few cracks. I ended up getting it fixed and repainted. And then just recently, LMR came out with a 9901 Cobra bumper kit. So I'm gonna probably swap that thing out because one of the tabs broke again on the one side. It's just a mess. I just need to replace that bumper. But anyway, the car was in a neglected state as a roller, and it's pretty much the body and everything is still in that state. I haven't really touched anything but the motor. So again, like I said, this body and everything is in the state of when it was when I got it. Maybe a little better because I did do a clay bar, a little bit of polishing, buffing and polishing on it. But I mean, this thing is rough. Still got the ambers. I got moisture in one of them. Not sure if you can pop those open and fix that, but that's for another day. And when I tell you how many miles it has on it, you probably won't believe me. I mean, even though the body is rough, and there's the broken tab I was telling you about, it's just, it sucks. But it is what it is. And these headlights, I got a new set on the way, so they're the biggest eyesore. I'm tired of looking at them. But now this thing actually can hold its own and drive, so I'm gonna start putting some cosmetic work to it and just getting this thing dialed. The top is, it's good. It doesn't leak. It's definitely shrank, but it's still solid. It's not, you know, brittle. It's got some flex to it, but I'm sure one of these days we'll get a rip here or there. A little bit of, it's getting a little tight right there. But hey, if it don't leak, I'm not gonna put a new one on. If anybody knows something I could dress this with, maybe that back to black stuff, because the color's kind of off, but you know, whatever, I'll just put the top down. You won't even see it. I'm sure all of you know, I think once I put the motor in this, I bought a set of wheels for it. And don't buy chrome wheels from China, guys. These wheels are 3 years old. I've probably washed this car twice. I've probably waxed these wheels twice. I don't even think I've got them wet, like with the hose. I never directly sprayed on these wheels, and all the chrome is flaking on the inside already. It's ridiculous. Even in the lug nut holes, I mean, the face looks the best, but I mean, come on, 3 years and they're already doing that. Really not happy about that, but you live and you learn. So I was thinking about getting them all powder coated black, just black this whole thing out. And I think that would be pretty cool. Clear coat is giving up. I don't even know what happened to this wing. I think maybe they replaced it, aftermarket one, or the paint just faded away. It kind of looks painted somewhat right here, so maybe that's what happened. Another ding here on my bumper. This car is going to be driven, all right? This is not a show car, nothing. I was debating on painting it, but you know, this is kind of just a fun car to, you know, take out and just rip the tires off and have fun with it. Because usually when I paint a Mustang, I'm worried about scratching it, dinging it, you know, and with all that horsepower, I mean, the paint's just gonna peel off anyway, right? So some cars I like to paint, keep them real nice. And you know, this is the fun car, man. This is the fun car. It's not we're not going for cosmetic looks here, but I'm gonna still try to clean it up the best I can. Who knows, maybe I'll change my mind in about a week and I'll have a rotisserie in this driveway and everything apart, because that's just how I am. Without a doubt, this thing definitely needs suspension. The whole thing lifts up in the front, kind of tweaks to one side. Definitely needs a whole suspension overhaul. Thinking about taking the IRS out, doing all the bushings, control arms, powder coating. See what I mean? I'm over here telling you guys I'm just gonna keep it simple, and then I'm also thinking about just going all out and restoring the car, basically. So, you know, don't take my word for it when you're watching videos of me talking about my project cars, because, you know, I can really change the setup overnight. All right, let's show you the interior. Definitely rough too. Tan interior, not my favorite, but it doesn't look too bad. Some days I'm like, I should black this thing out. Some days I'm like, oh, I should just keep it the way it is. But the seats need to be redone. The foam's actually not bad, just we got a rip here. And then that one's just a rip there too. I think just from the sun beating on it. But it's pretty solid interior. Back seats look good. All right, I want to show you the mileage here. I'm telling you, you're not going to believe me. I did some research and there's nothing that was telling me that the mileage was rolled over or incorrect or whatever. So I believe this is the true mileage, but I mean, given the shape of the car, it was a rough 93,000 miles. Look at that. Under 100K, and it's this rough. As far as a clutch, I got the only McLeod twin disc. I believe it's a RST. It's good for about 800 horsepower. Again, one of those mods I wanted to add to help support and just have a nice solid foundation. Although, you know, I got stock rods and pistons, everyone's gonna bang me on that one, but definitely need a solid clutch. So let's get into the motor here, and I'll tell you this Frankenstein build, and maybe it's something that you want to try to do and try to save a couple bucks. But let me tell you, trying to swap this versus buying just a Terminator motor, you're probably better off just buying a Terminator motor. So this thing did not have a motor when I got it, like I was telling you. So I went out and I bought a 96, 98 Cobra motor, ripped the heads off, and just used the bottom end. It's got the Texid block, it's a stronger block, but I wasn't trying to make crazy power. I needed a motor, I didn't have one, it's all a good deal. So I was like, you know, might as well get the better block. It still has a forged crank, but the stock rods and pistons. So this thing is kind of on the edge of blowing up into pieces, but it's still in one piece for now. So we got that for the bottom end. I ended up getting a pair of C heads, and I'm not sure what generation they are. I'd have to read the number on the side, but I completely went through them. I put a whole new set of Manley exhaust valves in it. Heads was resurfaced. I got a set of POC valve springs in it, all new seals. They're pretty much brand new heads. I also did AccuFab secondary timing chains, Ford Racing timing set on the front. 96, 98 Cobra cams. That's one of my regrets. I should have put a comp cams in this thing. That would have been sweet. I did put ARP head studs just to keep those heads down. I mean, I'm not running crazy boost, but it's a great upgrade to put in there. I got all Ford OEM coils in there. I'm not running the 0304 pulley bridge setup and all that stuff. When I bought this supercharger, it came with this tensioner and bracket for the alternator, and pretty much the alternator is not being driven by the supercharger. The supercharger's on its separate belt and pulley. That's a Metco pulley kit on there, adapter kit or whatever. So it works great. I mean, there's no belt slip, nothing. I don't have any issues with my main serpentine belt. So it does a job for what I'm trying to do. I don't know who makes this kit. I think the guy said some dude on the forums makes the kit somewhere in the US. I couldn't tell you, but if I did, I would put his info below. Pretty cool setup, you know, without having to run all that pulley bridge and all that stuff in the front there. But the reason I say it's easier to swap a Terminator motor is because you're gonna get nickeled and dimed with all the little things you gotta buy. Like the stock coolant crossover is different in a Cobra, 01 Cobra, than a Terminator. So I had to get these adapters and fittings. I had to run my intercooler pump. I got a 0304 intercooler pump. I mean, you need the this coolant manifold right here that goes to the heat exchanger under the supercharger. This thing was like, I think $300. I mean, nobody makes them anymore, so yeah, they're going to be expensive since they only made them a couple years. So just finding all those little pieces and everything really adds up and can be a headache. The only other mod I'm not telling you about is the fuel. I'm running E85 on this thing because I figured, you know, if we run a cooler burning fuel, it'll probably help things, you know, last a little longer and help keep my bottom end together and just reduce any chance of detonation and all that bad stuff. I'm running dual GT500 E85 Walbro pumps. It's actually a 0304 Terminator tank all in one. So that's for the fuel system. Still the stock returnless system. And then I got a nice AFCO heat exchanger in the front here. Keep everything cool. And the IAT2s, it was about 85 degrees when we were running this car. And I think the IAT only went up to 101 degrees. So that's pretty efficient. I really need to change these headlights. I'm so tired of looking at them. I honestly did debate on coyote swap in this car, but I wanted to keep it period correct. I probably could have made way more power for less money, but it would have never sounded as good as that 4.6 Ford valve sounds. Probably my favorite sounding Ford engine, and you just can't beat it. The Coyotes sound like trash. Don't get me wrong, they make great power. They're insanely reliable, but they don't sound that great. And it's really all about the sound for me. And that gets us to the exhaust. I actually think it's a BBK off-road H-pipe. I honestly don't remember, but there's no cats in it. It's just straight through to a stock 0304 Terminator Ford catback. And that's something I want to change because it's just way too quiet. All you hear is that. You don't even hear any exhaust. So I dropped this thing off, I don't know, around 10 a.m. Me and my buddy, we went back around 2 o'clock and he had just strapped it down and started tuning it. So it was like perfect timing. So we hung out. It wasn't doing so well the first few pulls. I think he could only take it up to like maybe 3,000 and it was just popping and blowing the spark out of the exhaust. So he came up to me, he's like, "What did you gap the plugs at?" I was like, "I honestly don't remember. It's been 2 years." I was like, maybe like 32. I don't remember. And he's like, "Yeah, I think you got the gap. The gap is wrong on the plugs. Like for sure, 100%. He's like, I got this other car I gotta bring in. Like, and I was like, hey, I can do it real quick. You know, you got the tools right here. He's like, yeah, go for it. Like, I was like, dude, I banged that out in about 12 minutes, record time. Pulled out the first plug and handed it to him, takes it over to the table, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, that's damn near 40 thousandths. Like, I could just tell with my eye just from shimming transmissions and looking at thousandths shims. I was like, that's definitely a solid 40, and it was about 40. So he actually told me, he's like, you want to bet? He's like, I bet you that these are not gapped correctly. I was like, you know, from what it sounds like, I'm not taking that bet, and I'm glad I didn't, because they were way off. I ended up gapping them to 26. Put it all back together, and by that first run he did, I knew that we were sending this thing to the moon. Until that fuel issue came up. All right, so here is the dyno chart. Check out Tuners Inc., guys. He knows exactly what he's doing, what he's talking about. Been doing it for a very long time. Contact him. He's in Green Cove Springs, Jacksonville area. So if you need a tuner, Tony will get you done. So this thing made 440 horse, 532 foot-pounds, 15 pounds of boost at 5,100 RPM. I know it says, I think that's the RPM 4,000, but on the chart that he showed me, maybe I'll put a clip in here. He told me he cut it at 5,100. That's what this was, what we went up to. So that's pretty close to what I wanted to make, maybe a little bit too much. And we still have about 1,000, maybe 1,500 RPM to go. And we're kind of at the limits of that stock bottom end. So I'm at a crossroads here, whether to detune this and, you know, just enjoy it for what it is, or go all out and beef everything else up and make some more power. Let me get into why we cut it short. So 5,100 RPMs, we're making 15 pounds of boost, and my voltage dropped down to nearly 12 volts, and we should be higher than 12 for sure. I think what happened was, since the voltage went that low, if it's my alternator that's just not putting out the amps, but the fuel pumps can't put out the maximum capacity, that demand that the computer wants, cannot provide it, so it just went lean. And at that point he let off and saved my fragile bottom end from exploding. But I have an issue that I got to deal with. I don't know if it's the alternator. It's most likely the alternator. That alternator I got from the Cobra motor, and I'm sure it's original. It's just tired, it's worn out. So I'm looking into upgrading that to maybe a 130 or a 180 amp. I think the replacements are a 130, so I might start with that one. And if that doesn't fix it, I'm gonna go all out, maybe a 180, 200 amp. Also, I'm gonna upgrade my alternator power wire. Ford is notorious for being cheap and making wires smaller than what they should be. And I think we have like I don't know, it must be an 8 or 10 gauge wire for the alternator. So it could definitely use a solid, 2 gauge wire just to keep that voltage there. So where do I go from here? I mean, do I pulley this thing down a little bit, make only about 10 pounds of boost, have a fun little car, drive around? Or do I put a return style fuel system on this with a regulator, maybe put some bigger pumps in it, maybe keep the pulley where it is and send this thing to 20,000 RPM? That's probably a little too high, but I don't know. At that point, I would have to pull the motor. I would have to put some rods and pistons in it, probably do some more machine work. And if I'm going all out like that, I'm definitely putting some cams in this thing, and then we're gonna have something that's just insane. So that's where I'm thinking right now. I don't really know where to go forward yet. Honestly, all depends on the budget, how much I can put into this, but I'm kind of leaning towards just keeping it where it's at, fixing that voltage issue. Maybe one of my pumps is actually going out too. I mean, E85 is kind of a sticky fuel. Maybe that pump got gummed up and it's not at its fullest potential anymore from this car sitting around with the E85 in the tank. I mean, I would start it up every now and then, just put it around the neighborhood, but you really gotta exercise these cars, especially with the E85. So yeah, I mean, I got a lot to think about. Let me know what you guys would do if you're in my situation. I mean, it's a tough one, you know. I mean, this is plenty of power for me. Everybody out there making 1,000 horsepower, y'all are crazy, man. Like, Godspeed to you, but this is plenty of power to have fun with. And you know, it's at a point right now where I can enjoy it, and it is good to leave some room to grow in the future. You know, when you build a car from the ground up and you have this big plan, you're gonna do this, that, and the third, and then it's all done and you're kind of like, all right, that was cool, you know, I can't add more power to it, it's already making crazy power, you know. You kind of get bored of it. So I always like to leave a little bit of room to grow, and you know, we're growing here. I still want to put exhaust on this thing, just tidy up some of the stuff in the engine bay, some of the hoses and the wires, and just make it look, you know, a little cleaner. Get rid of that coolant reservoir with all the nasty welds on it. So, you know, a little bit of cosmetics here and there. So that's the Cobra, man. Stay tuned for updates. I know I don't normally do this kind of content. I normally do transmission stuff, but I like to show you guys what I'm working on, because I do have a few projects, and you know, I'm an enthusiast just like you. So drop a comment, guys. Let me know what you think, what you would do. Want to hear back from you guys. Stay tuned. See you on the next one.